Hello, and welcome to the Gothic jungle. It's been 1 year since I last went through my dark and gothic plants in my collection, so now that it's October again, it's time to see what dark plants are in my collection this year. I do have to say that most of my collection is not as impressive as last year, since I went through / I'm still going through the thrip apocalypse, as I've like to call it. So far it's killed about 6 or 7 of my plants and has made some of my remaining guys look like death. I know I really wanted to include like Philodendron verrucosum and Philodendron micans today, but I was looking at these plants and I'm like, this just doesn't seem like it's fun to include if they're just struggling and dying, and it makes me really sad, but I'm trying to bring them back to life as best I can. I'm especially sad that I lost my begonia ferox completely. I tried to propagate it too, but the leaves just kind of rotted. I think I just did it wrong. Not really sure what happened there. But I'm sad because I considered that one of my most gothic plants. It had gotten kind of big. It was, looking impressive. But that's okay. I'll just probably order another one once all the thrips are gone. And hey, maybe it'll be in my collection to show off next year. You never know. But anyways, vivid intro out of the way. Let's get started. Now, I like to go in alphabetical order with these plants. So let's start off with the alocasias that I have. This first one is the Alocasia Black Velvet, a very gothic staple. It's a very basic plant. You can get them pretty easy at any plant store, usually box stores too. But I love the velvety texture and the kind of engraved pattern on the leaves. I think that it is so pretty, and I really also love the contrast between like the really dark leaves and then the pale like kind of underside, as well as just the veining. I think it makes it really interesting. I think I mentioned this last year, but a lot of the things that I consider like gothic plants are like, yes, you get those really dark plants, but also don't discount that like white kind of bony things, or just any kind of really intense contrast that looks really interesting. And then just to kind of add on that, I like a lot of velvety textures and anything spiky, which is kind of why I mentioned I really liked that begonia ferox as a gothic plant. But anyways, let's move on. The next plant is the Alocasia nobilis. Now this guy has definitely seen better days. I have one big leaf from the main mother plant, and that tiny leaf that you see down there is actually from a corm. But this guy is really cool. I love the dark purple veiny backs, and I just think that this guy is particularly cool because you get that, again, kind of that contrast I was talking about with the black velvet, where you have the dark leaf itself, but the veining is almost white on this guy. I mean, with the Alocasia black velvet, it's a little bit more green, but this guy really is white, and the edges kind of look a little bit like snow. I just think that's so cool, and definitely a gothic-y plant, especially the way that the lobes kind of come out a bit. I don't want to call them spiky because they're definitely rounded, but definitely a more alien-looking plant. I also have another leaf coming in from that main guy, so I'm really excited to see how that leaf turns out. My final alocasia is the Alocasia Silver Dragon. Now, this guy might not look really impressive. He's in a really tiny pot, but I am really proud of this guy because if you look at the video that I made of my gothic plants last year, this guy was still doing fine, but he had thrips. But this guy completely died on me, so this is kind of the revived Alocasia Silver Dragon, and I'm so happy I was able to get it to revive itself, because it's such a beautiful plant. I fit this in the gothic category because it's very pale, and just I think that pale plants kind of fit into that gothic category, kind of leading into like closer to bone colors and things like that. But I just think this one is really cool, and I tried to allude to it a little bit there. But once these guys get more mature, they have kind of purpley, I think it's more purple than red, but veining on the back, which is just so cool. So that's really cool to see, and I hope I was able to get detailed enough shots where you can really see how powdery the leaf looks. It's very cool. Moving on to the star of this growing season, this is my anthurium. This is one of two. This is the only one that I kind of considered more gothic. It's a giant hybrid of things. I will put them on the screen or show you the little tab. But this guy is crazy. You could see it has a little bit of residue. This guy did get thrips. Thrips got into my prop box, which is where I keep this guy, unfortunately. But I still think it looks beautiful despite that. These leaves are insanely dark. They really do look black in person. But another really cool thing that I love about this plant that I think really adds to the gothiciness is the emergence of anthuriums, which is one of the really cool parts about these plants. When a new leaf comes out and it's an emergent, it comes out really red looking. And then the case with this biggest leaf that I'm showing you here, it kind of went black and then the veins were purpley and sparkly, and I have a photo and it's not that great of a photo, but I just thought it was so cool. Definitely a gothic-y plant, just with all the color changes that just really make you think of gothic stuff. Anthuriums are so beautiful, and I post them all the time on my Instagram story, even though they all kind of start to look the same with different hybrids. But definitely a gothic plant, and one of my most impressive growth plants of this season. The Begonia comores is definitely the weirdest plant in my collection, as most begonias are. It has a spiky leaf shape, and I love how black the leaves are and how dark red the backs of the leaves are. There's spikes everywhere too. It's not like quite like sharp spikes. They're really soft. There's only a little bit on the top, and there's more on the bottom. But this guy is so weird and gothic-y. I'm pretty sure it was the first plant I showed last year. This is not actually the same plant as last year. I had to buy another one because this guy died while I was doing like a study abroad thing. But I'm really happy that I bought this guy again, and especially since it's in such a small pot, I could put it into one of my favorite pieces of pottery that I think really is a nice touch to add to the gothic-y theme. I think the Comores is the only begonia that I have right now. I'll definitely want to add more into my collection in the future. I just know I don't really have like the hang of them quite yet. I know they're pretty thirsty guys, but begonias are definitely tend to be gothic plants because of just how dark and the interesting features that they tend to have. This spiky little guy is my Euphorbia aeruginosa. I'm not sure if I said that right. But this guy is one of the newer plants in my collection. But I think it's so cool because of the red spikes on them. I'm usually not too much of a cactus person. I think I have this and then my other Euphorbia. But this guy was just so cool and caught my eye at the plant shop immediately. There's also a little bit of, I don't know if it's quite variegation or just like differences in color on the plant itself for the green parts. But just the contrast between the red spikes and the just greenness of the plant really caught my eye. That guy was just so cool. So I hope you guys think it's cool too. My white ghost is so cool. This one's definitely the star of like my more pale, bony, powdery, dusty, whatever you want to call it for a qualifier of lighter plants for gothic stuff. This guy's definitely a highlight because it looks like a spine. I really haven't had too much growth from last year. This plant was kind of a feature at the end because I forgot to film it and I added it back in at the end. But I think that the tallness is really interesting, and once they get bigger they can kind of like branch out like a candelabra, which is really cool. But it did have a little bit of growth at the top, so I'm pretty happy about that. I've just kind of figured out like, okay, I need to give this guy like a ton of light, and then she'll finally give me like the little leaves. That's it blooming. But yeah, so I hope to make some more progress with this in the next coming year. Just because, you know, once you start to figure out the carrots, like, oh, okay, I'll just put it in this specific spot and let it do its thing. Ooh, the Hoya Croyana Black. This guy is, I think, one of the blackest plants in my collection, other than the Comoras, which is straight up black leaves. You can kind of see it in more of the close-up shots, but I think they kind of start, when they have lower light, they kind of start off with green with like black around the edges, and they have kind of a reptilian look, which I really liked. But you can see kind of at the end, they get like straight up black leaves with only like the babyest bit of green, which is so cool. I've been keeping this guy in pretty high humidity, so you'll see kind of the aerial roots starting to stretch out, just because when I first got it, my partner gifted it to me, and I was really excited and I was really nervous because I didn't want to kill it, so I just put it in a humidity box, and then I kind of forgot about it, so now it just kind of lives there. But again, I feel like the leaves that are just reptilian look so cool. I think one of my goals for the next like planty year is to try and get at least one of my Hoyas to bloom, because I have this guy and then I have 2 other ones. But these guys' blooms are supposed to be like purple when they come out, which is really cool. Moving on to my string of hearts. This guy, I was like, oh, last year this guy's huge, it's so long, when it was only like what, a foot. This guy got to be like as tall as me this year, which is crazy, because it just pushes out growth so fast for me. I don't know what it is, but I guess if it's happy, it's happy. But this is another silver plant that I like to include, and the backs of them are also like really purpley. They can get like a pretty dark purple. Of course, it depends on the leaf, how the leaf is doing, if it gets a lot of sun. But they come out really cool. And the flowers, oh my gosh, this guy bloomed like crazy for me this year. The flowers are really funky, but they're also like black and fuzzy. They get everywhere, which is like a little annoying because I wasn't expecting it to bloom so much. But man, am I happy that this plant is doing so well. It is absolutely massive. I'm trying to I actually cut it back maybe a month or 2 before I filmed this video, and it still just got back the length in no time. So if you want an easy growing plant for indoors, this guy's your way to go. The oxalis is another really cool plant that has also done pretty well for me. I think I've had it since last year as well. It's gotten much bigger than last year, but other than the purpley kind of black variegated leaves being a really cool thing to look at, this is another plant that pushes out new leaves constantly for me. You can kind of see it in the video because I filmed these clips at the end of the day, but the 3 leaves open during the day when they have a lot of light, and then they close at night. So that's really cool, kind of like a calathea, except this guy doesn't die immediately after bringing it home. But the oxalis has also given me a lot of blooms this year too, which was a really cool accomplishment. Really excited about that. And I think they're really pretty too. They're kind of little pinky guys, but they're always fun to see. And this is my sad looking philodendron dark lord. It looks so sad. I think I had this one featured last year, but the plant that you have in front of you is actually from a top cutting because the bottom cutting was not happy. Honestly, the bottom part of the mother plant, I was just not paying enough attention to and just died. But I am a little frustrated with this plant right now because, so like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I'm going through apocalypse. And this guy seems to be a lovely magnet for thrips. So I've had it kind of isolated for a really long time, but it still has just so many on them. I'm lucky that the plant still keeps pushing out some new leaves, so worst case scenario, I probably could chop it again. But I'm just a little frustrated with it just not getting any better after all the treatments that I'm throwing at it. But if it wasn't giving me thrips and it was giving me lovely big growth, it would definitely be a stunner for the Gothic plant collection. Just because it has the really sharp arrowhead shape leaf. I think that's cool, very dynamic. But also the dark red. I think it's more red than purpley, but yeah, the dark red leaves. And when they emerge too, they're just I don't know if a bright red is quite right, but it's still a deep red, but it's much brighter than the hardened off leaf, obviously. But that's always really cool to see too. And then last but not least, we have the purple heart. Now you might remember this guy from my last year's video being probably one of the biggest plants that I own. But when I moved, I got really frustrated with it because A, I didn't know where to put it, and B, it was half of it was dead, so then the other half was thriving, and it just looked scraggly and weird. So I got pretty frustrated with it, and I cut it off into little cuttings. So I only really have cuttings to show you guys today. It actually broke right before filming this, so then I had to chop and prop it again, and I don't want to hear anything about my algae water. It looks gross, but I'm I'm too lazy to fix it right now. But yeah, this guy's really, really cool. Again, another like purpley plant. I think the Oxalis takes the cake for my most purple plant as part of the Gothic collection. But this guy's definitely a really purpley guy too. It's really fun to see that sun's dressing in work, and it's purple all around the plant, and I like the fuzzy bit too. They're really, really soft plants. And that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed looking at my goth plants this year. Let me know if you saw anything you liked. If you have any goth plants in your collection that you're like, you know what, I think you would like this too. I'm always on the lookout for adding more goth plants to my collection, and hopefully next year I'll have even more exciting growth to show you. Maybe the plants will be a lot more impressive, a lot bigger. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys soon. Thanks for watching. Bye!